in an effort to try and make new kinds of videos this year, I figured I would talk about a movie for a change. Because I just got out of Mercy in 3D, and oh boy, what a stinker that was. I wonder if I'm going to beat Charlie to this one. So yeah, I went with two friends to go see it in 3D tonight. And we collectively made up half the people in the theater because there was only one other middle-aged couple that came in and then an older man who walked in just before the movie started, and that was it. There was only 6 people in the whole theater. Tron Ares, when I went to see it in October, had a bigger turnout than that. So that's going to go to show just how well this movie is performing. If you somehow haven't seen anything about this movie, Minority Report, but what if the precogs are cool and based and actually a really good idea, as my friend Liam put it. And yeah, that's a excellent interpretation of the film. If you don't know what Minority Report is, go watch the movie. I think it's good. I liked it. I haven't watched it in a while, but I should rewatch it. At least it plays with ideas of like fate and trying to break that if you can. So that's kind of interesting. It's more interesting than anything that I'll discuss about this movie. So what's going on here? Well, you got Chris Pratt, and he's stuck in a wheelchair for an hour and 40 minutes, and he's on trial for the murder of his wife. He's a detective. And Mercy is a court system that uses AI-appointed judges, because that's an incredibly good idea, apparently. And Rebecca Ferguson plays the AI judge Maddox. And so he has 90 minutes to lower his guilty percentage from whatever it's at to below 92% to cancel the trial. And he only has an hour and a half to do this. He has 90 minutes. So the first 45 minutes of the movie are shot, Chris Pratt's face, reverse shot, Rebecca Ferguson giving you an eyebrow like a disappointed mother who does not agree with her son's choice in jean wear, and then screen grab, OBS, iPhone footage, whatever you could pick of computer screen recordings imaginable. There was even a scene where Windows XP shows up at one point. That was incredible. Now, if this sounds familiar to something else that was memed very heavily last year, War of the Worlds 2025 with Ice Cube, well, there's a reason for that, and it's the reason I kind of wanted to go see this to begin with. It's by the same director. He did War of the Worlds 2025, and he did Unfriended, an older horror movie that's also like OBS screen recordings on a laptop. So that seems to be this guy's bread and butter, but man, the quality is just kind of on the decline. The writing is not fantastic. There are a lot of lines that are incredibly corny and shitty, and it is most definitely a propaganda and AI positivity movie, which is not great. Just completely uncritical of either of them. And not a good message to end on either. I think the best thing I can do is just kind of go through a very succinct plot summary, if I can possibly do that. It's pretty cookie cutter. Chris Pratt wakes up in his wheelchair. He's chained down. Rebecca Ferguson explains he has 90 minutes to prove his innocence. She lays out the facts of the case. He came home in a rage on the morning of the murder, left their daughter came home, found the mother dead, stabbed to death in the kitchen. Chris Pratt was drunk and they arrested him, and he's an alcoholic and he was in AA, and him hiding booze and still drinking occasionally is what caused the fight in the first place and was causing the marriage to kind of start falling apart. So there's a lot of evidence pointed against Chris Pratt for the first, I'd say first third, almost first half of the movie. There's even a point where he's just kind of like, I don't want to do this anymore. Maybe I just accept a guilty verdict. But the AI judge is like, no, you still have like 45 minutes. You can still prove yourself innocent. So he starts to actually investigate. He gets in touch with his current cop partner, Jack, who helps him out by like filming stuff and showing him crime scene. And the two of them work together to track down people and whatnot. Chris Pratt's whole alcoholism is caused by the fact that his partner died on the job, and it was during a traffic stop where the car backed up into the partner, crushing his pelvic region between the two cars. And instead of going to the actual hospital to get anything done about it, his partner's like, no, we're cops. We gotta stop those bad guys. So he just drives chasing after these people that smashed into them instead of taking him to somewhere that could save his life, and he dies in the line of duty. This movie's got all the wrong vibes. It's like it immediately opens up referring to them all as heroes in blue, like again completely uncritical. Los Angeles is where it's set. It's in the not too distant future where we are now sorting homeless people into red zones. They are just being all segregated into these one or two sections of the city, and they're just treated horrifically. And it really seems like a lot of the mercy trials were focused on people in those regions, particularly the first one that gets focused on at the start of the movie, which Chris Pratt was responsible for. He made the arrest for the murder of a woman, and the culprit was a guy that was in one of these red zones. And that's going to come up again later on. He is allowed to talk to anybody that he wants. He's allowed to pull up any evidence, any crime scene footage. So he's talking to like his sponsor from the AA meetings, Robert. He tries getting in touch with his daughter to let her know that he didn't do it. And he's investigating. And then he wonders if his wife had a second phone. Now, in this world, all phones are connected to the cloud unless they're illegal, they're black market, and that's what he finds. He finds a burner phone that his wife had that she was using to hook up with a chef by the last name of Burke. I can't even remember his first name. So they track him down, and he explains that, yeah, he was messing around with his wife because he wouldn't listen to her because he was too drunk and angry to do anything. And that she was complaining about things going on at work, problems where inventory was going missing at her shipping job. So they start looking into that, and that begins the rabbit hole into a chemical that's been going missing at this job. And it eventually is revealed, I'm going to spoil the whole thing here, Robert, by sheer deduction, is the one that is collecting all this extra chemical. And when Maddox is asked what it can be used for, it's used in a couple of different ways. It can be used for fertilizing plants, apparently. And the last one they end on is meth, and they immediately cut to more of the red zone footage. But that is not what Robert has it planned for. Instead, they find his garage where he has been building bombs. Now, he is also the one that was responsible for the murder, and he did this by going to a barbecue that was at Chris Pratt's house 2 days beforehand, somehow got somebody to just take his car home and drive other people home, and then he hid in Chris Pratt's basement for 2 days. He just hid down there. Nobody found him, nobody caught him. He stayed down there, waited till Chris Pratt left. Then he murdered his wife, and then got in the trunk of somebody else's car and got away from the scene of the crime. And you get a scene of him crawling out of a trunk, and it's very silly looking. So they find his garage. He was building bombs, as it turns out. So he's got a big truckload of bomb, and he's kidnapped Chris Pratt's daughter. And what it's revealed is that Robert is the brother of the first guy that got put into mercy court and executed because of it. And he believes that his brother was innocent. And this leads into like a 25 minute chase scene against a big truck, where the most brutal cop car scene happens, where it just smashes through the window of a cafe. Like you're seeing it from like a security cam, because that's what all the footage in this movie is. You see a cop car smash through the front window of a cafe and just brutalize two people in the cafe. And it was so visceral that it like stands out in my brain. It's there's not like a lot of blood or anything. It's just it feels like I was watching a live leak video for just a couple seconds there. Anyway, that one stood out. So he's taking this truck full of explosives to Mercy because he wants revenge against the system that killed his brother and the cop that arrested him. There's all the cops trying to chase him. There's like this scene that looks like a Call of Duty mission where there's a cop with an AR on a truck bed, looking back at the big truck, and then the truck just kind of swerves around a little bit and it knocks out all the police cars. And then he gets there. Chris Pratt's essentially proven himself innocent at this point. His guilty rating's down to 0, but we still have to increase the risk. We have to keep the tension up that the chair might still kill him, because if the trial ends, Maddox loses connection to the cloud, and the cloud is useful because she can look around at everybody's devices and keep track of where he's going and keep in touch and try to solve this or try to stop him. So we have to keep the trial artificially running so the cloud keeps going. So that puts Chris Pratt at risk. But eventually, he breaks out. He doesn't break out of the chair. Maddox lets him go at the very, very last second, and he runs down to the lobby. And the first thing he does when he gets down there after the truck has crashed into it is he finds a vest and puts it on like the good cop he is. I almost burst out laughing in the theater seeing that. Just like gets out of his trial, immediately has to put on a vest. Anyway, so he's trying to talk to Robert, and then Maddox shows up on the screen and is like, hey, I'll give you an addendum trial for your brother right now as a distraction so that Maddox can try to, or so that Chris Pratt can close the distance and try to get the detonator out of his hands. Maddox is like, oh, sorry, you didn't prove enough evidence that your brother was actually not guilty. And Robert and Chris Pratt wrestle on the floor. He disables the detonator and he almost shoots Robert in the head. But then Jack shows up after presumably being smashed into a wall during the chase scenes, and goes to shoot and kill Robert. But Robert continues his plea to Maddox that he was calling his brother, the first victim of Mercy, at the time that the original murder happened. And so Maddox traces his phone and finds out there was a call, and there was a phone that was taken when the brother got taken into custody originally, but it was never put into evidence. And so Maddox goes into the police cams and finds out that Jack is actually another antagonist, because she didn't put the phone into evidence. So that because she really wanted to convict this homeless guy of a murder he didn't do, because they needed Mercy to be successful. So she gets arrested, and then the movie ends with Chris Pratt hugging his daughter because he saved her from Robert, and ends on a line about humans, AI, we all make mistakes. And we're trying so hard to just hold it in for a few more seconds so we didn't disturb the other people around us. Oh my God, what a finale. The whole thing is just third act. It's just aggressively blatant that we've given up on trying to portray Mercy and Maddox as the bad guy. Now they're working together with Chris Pratt and they're the good thing. And then just, it's so bad. It's, I would say it's not as fun bad as War of the Worlds. I think War of the Worlds is still the more fun bad movie. There are some choice bits from this. I think there's going to be some good memes here and there from one or two scenes, especially once we get some green screen edits going. Rebecca Ferguson giving the eyebrow could be a good reaction image I think we could take from this. Yeah, there's some stuff in here. Is it worth the price of admission? Nah, I don't think so. If I had to give one positive, which is really hard to say, I thought the music was nice. I did notice the music. It wasn't great, but I did kind of like the synthy, video game-ish vibe it was going for. I don't know. I kind of like the music. That's the one thing I can kind of give it as a compliment. So good job to the composer there. I'm not even saying that as it was super amazing. It was just, it was fine. Yeah, not great. Really not great. I don't know how to end this. Don't fucking waste your money on seeing it. All right, that's all. Bye-bye.